Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I've finished all my chores for today, or all the ones I'm prepared to do, and that included watering absolutely everything except the Phalaenopsis behind me on the kitchen windowsill. Now this has been lurking in the background of several shots, and I said I would do the story for it, because there is a story there. This has come from my son. They are moving out of their eco property basically. It was on an estate, you know, a manor house with a large estate with lakes and land and stuff like that. And bits of aircraft littered around the place. They didn't crash there, they were collected. But literally just across from the house is an almost complete hawker hunter, which is nice. Anyway, so my son is packing up the expensive life because his rent is similar to mine, extortionate, and then you get all the bills on top of that. And he's converted what was basically a horse van. So actually it might have been a butcher's van, I don't know, but a very, very large vehicle with an extended wheelbase. It's very large. And he's done a complete conversion on it and turned it into a home. And some of you may remember I visited what we thought was going to be the last time. But circumstances change. Sometimes you get good luck. It's not all bad luck. Sometimes you get good luck. So he's giving up the property. But the actual property is, I think it's 3 or maybe 4 units, so he's given up his. The one next door, the people live in Wales, and they spend 2 weeks each month in Wales. And then they come back to their unit for some of those 2 weeks, the other 2 weeks. And they've got dogs, and their dogs get on with my son's dogs. I don't like my son's dogs. They're Italian greyhounds, I think they're called. They're little wispy things with a little rat tail, and they're very fast. They're very nippy on their feet, but they don't appeal to me, let's put it that way. You know, I like cats more than dogs anyway. Anyway, so these people next door have dogs. And they have trouble because when they're in their unit, they have to travel. They do other things, and that's their base. And the dogs are a nuisance. Now their dogs get on with my son's dogs. So they've done a deal. Basically, my son can park what is effectively their motorhome on that lot and use that unit when they're not in it, which means he can replenish his stocks, water supplies, charge up the, leisure batteries and everything like that, and look after their dogs in return for the use of the property. That's good luck, because that means 2 weeks out of the month they are not effectively on the road, if you see what I mean. They have a base, and it's where they've lived for the last, 5 or 6 years. So they know the area, they know where the dogs can run and everything, and they know all the neighbours. So a bit of good luck. And it also means that that probably wasn't the last visit after all, because they'll still be there 2 weeks of the month. So that was good. Anyway, back when they first moved in, I think it was when they moved in there, it might have been when they still had their flat, which is in Romsey. Where they live is on the outskirts of Romsey. It's the nearest big place, and Romsey is like a satellite town from Southampton basically, just to get in whereabouts in the country it is. Not far up the road from me basically. And he wanted to get an orchid, and he got one and then asked for advice. So I did the brain dump on store-bought Phalaenopsis, and I'm pretty sure this was his first one. And it's a whopper. Look at the size of these flipping leaves. Now obviously moving to a motorhome, the plants are a no-no. Because first of all they'd have to be really well secured and right next to a window. And they've designed their van that all of the windows are on the off side. So when it's parked up it just looks like a beaten up old van. They've deliberately kept it looking a bit tatty so that it doesn't look like it's worth breaking into. So things like the solar panels and everything are hidden on the roof. They're behind like ridges, so you can't really see them unless you're a drone and flying overhead. And the windows and everything on the back are behind the roller shutter, so they can't be seen. And the other windows are on the roadside, so you'd only see them overtaken in a car sort of thing. So it's been well thought out. But no plants basically, because you know everything has to be secured when you're on the road. So anyway, I believe this was this first one. And it is a whopper, and it is slightly variegated. The leaves are slightly variegated, and basically if I gave advice and guidance on an orchid, the last thing I'd have told anybody to do was put it in a glass jar with no drainage. And apparently it's been in there over 5 years, and it has got a very good root system, and there are actively growing roots in that jar, and there are quite a lot, and the plant is hanging over the side, and the rock is to stop it falling over. That's what that's for. So it has, I mean, this spike has got a branch on it, it's got a large number of blooms, and they are large blooms, so it's obviously a healthy plant. But if I'm going to look after it, I'm not sure I want, if it's been in that jar 5 years, then the bark it's in is probably not much good. And watering, my son said, watering's a right hassle, because he fills the jar up with water and leaves it sort of 5 or 10 minutes, and then he has to turn it upside down to drain that water out, so that it's not sitting in the water, and it's a bit of a faff. So that's the story behind it. That's why I've got it. It's come from my son. I think his other plants are going to his mum, or possibly to Hannah. Hannah's still got a few orchids around the house, and the rest of them are down here. But yeah, they're nice blooms, they're attractive, and he said it seems to bloom every other year. At one point it had 9 leaves, but it has dropped some. But they are enormous leaves basically, and those that are there are nice and healthy. So your task is to work out how I get that plant out of that glass jar, because the neck is narrower than the base, and the base is rock solid full of roots. Now my theory is to cover it very securely and break it. Actually break the glass so that it just comes off, and then I can repot it as though it came out of a pot. But obviously breaking glass is something to, you know, be avoided really. We all try and not break glasses, don't we? But I think that probably the easiest way to get that off is to wrap it securely and then just give it a whack with a hammer on the, you know, on the one of the thick bits of glass, hoping that it'll crack into several pieces and not shatter, if you see what I mean. Because what I don't really want is shards of glass in the media, which I'm then going to poke around with my hands to get the media out. You see what I mean? You see where I'm going with this. Right, so that's the story behind that. I said I'd do it. And now we've got a couple of things to say. One of them is an expression that everybody knows, and I'm now going to do a practical demonstration. The expression is, that's not a knife, that's a knife. That's my working sharp knife. It has a sharpener in there, 2 little grindstones, so every time you put it away. And that was a wedding present. So that must be 35 years old. You can see where it's been sharpened and the blade's got a lot narrower over time. But that is made from Wiltshire steel. There's not a lot of steel making going on in Wiltshire, that I can assure you. But that was a wedding present. Wiltshire stay sharp. So in the expression, that's not a knife, that's a knife. Can you see the patterning? That's folded steel, hardened in the traditional manner, Japanese. That's a knife. Now that's my remembrance of my son. And it's absolutely stunning. That knife that size would probably be around £100. It's a proper quality steel, chefy type knife. He did a lot of cooking at the end of the day, but I haven't used it yet. I mean, it comes with its own case to keep it in, with its own little locking gadget so that it doesn't fall out of the case, and it comes in its own box that it's moulded to fit, and the box has got a magnetic strip in it so that it snaps shut. It's even a quality box. So, a memory. So that's the first bit. That's not a knife, that's a knife. I should probably still carry on using this because it's quicker than getting that out of the box. But I do need, I mean, my other sharp knife is the small one. You've seen that one, I've used that around the grow room. So that's that, and now we have, it's not, I suppose it is a joke, but I heard it the other day and it tickled me, being a single person, long divorced of several occurrences. And basically, marriage is like a deck of cards. You start off with just a couple of hearts and a diamond. And then later in life, all you actually want is a club and a spade. See you next time.